Hi guys, welcome to another Minecraft modding tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you how to add block states to your block. Now I have a piece of paper in front of me because this is a big topic. Not as big as the ones I'm going to be doing later on, but it's quite a difficult topic. And today I'm going to be covering the PropertyEnum property. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is going into handlers. Now we have our recipe handler. And now I'm going to add a new one, which is going to be an Enum handler. Now this is going to handle some enums. Now if you don't know what enum is, look it up on Google, but basically an enum is like a list of stuff that can hold data. It's different to like an array list, but because like you like hard code it and you don't have to keep adding it. So the first thing that you want to do is a public enum, and it's going to be called, I'm going to call this block breaker types. So it's going to be the block breaker types, and it's got to implement the iString serializable and open it up. So you should be able to input that. I actually spelled that right. Oh my days. We're also going to have some private stuff. So we want a private int, which is going to be ID. We're going to have a private string, which is going to be the name. We're going to also have a constructor. So I'm just pressing Control Space here. So this is basically like a class inside a class. So we're going to have this. Yeah, this is our constructor. And in here, we're going to take in the ID and a string name. So we're going to be able to like restoring them in here. So this dot ID is equal to ID, and this dot name is equal to name. Yep. So we need to also have a name method. So public string get name. So this is going to return the name. So it's going to return name. A public int get ID, and this is going to return ID. Also going to have to add a new method, which is toString, which is an override method. And basically all this is going to do is going to return the get name method. So it's just going to run whatever we do here. Now obviously it's not going to work because we need to actually define the stuff. So I'm going to have some different types. So I want wood, and you have to open it up as a bracket. So the ID is going to be 0, and it's going to just be wood. Then you want to do a comma here, and then I want to do this for all the different ones that you want to do, with just incrementing the number. So I'm going to and on the end you want to put a semicolon on, and we can save this, and that is all we need to do here. So we now need to go into our mod blocks class. So we're going to be adding a block, but before we do that we've got to make the actual block. So I'm going to call it block breaker. Yeah, it sounds a bit weird, I know. So this has got to extend a block, just a normal one. Control Shift O to import it, which it wants us to create a constructor, and I'm not going to take in these. I'm going to take in the I'm going to take in material dot rock. Yep, so it's going to be a rock, and then I'm going to take in the unlocalized name. So that's string unlocalized name, and set the unlocalized name. So this dot set unlocalized name to the unlocalized name, and then as well I'm going to set the creative tab. So this dot set creative tab bit of everything dot blocks. Yep, so that's that bit. So in here we actually want to create the actual block state. Now there's 4 different types of block states. I'm hoping going to be doing a tutorial on each one, and each block state is a property whatever it is. So today we're doing PropertyEnum, so it's going to be a public static final PropertyEnum, and I'm going to call it type PropertyEnum dot create top one. So it's going to have the string name, which is type, and the class is enum handler dot blockbreaker types dot class. So it actually needs a class. So there we go, we've got that. Now we need to actually create this block state. So if we press Control space and type in create block state, so you don't have, like in a normal block you wouldn't do this, but you do now. And what we're going to do is return a new block state, and it's going to take in the block, which is this, and the properties, which is a new iProperty, that one. And instead of all this stuff here, you just want to make it an iProperty array, and it's going to open up, and it's going to be type, and close it like that. And that is in fact our property. So now we need to add another method, and that is called get state from meta. So get state from meta. Now this is where some of the ID stuff is. So by default the return method is this dot get default state with, so what we're going to do is return this dot get default state, so this is the normal state, dot with property type, and the value is in fact the value that it's going to be. So the value is going to be enum handler dot blockbreaker types dot, and it's going to be wood. That's just the default one. So that's just like the default one. So we're going to do some if one. So if the meta is 0, so if it's damage 0, which if we look in here, that's the wood, we are going to have the wood one. So we can in fact drag this over to here. I'm just going to do that so it's easier for me. So if the meta is 0, it's going to be wood. So it's got to, if we just select this here and Control C, that's the one for 0. And I'm going to copy this. So I'm just going to drag that back over to there. And yeah, so we've done that. And now we need to do a different one, which is get meta from state. So get meta from state. So now we're going to get the block state. So by default, this is quite an easy class. Not class, easy method to do. So we're going to have a enum handler dot blockbreaker types, and we're going to just get the type. So we're actually going to get the type from the state. So this is equal to, I'm going to have to put this in brackets because we're going to have to cast this to something. So casting means just like saying that it is something, but it returns something different. So we want to just do state dot get value and a property, and the property is type. So that type. So we're going to get the type of it. We're saying it's one of these, the wood, stone, iron, and that lot. And what we're going to do is we're going to return here. Going to return the type dot get ID. So that's just simple. Now we need to add a get damage dropped. So get damage. No, we need to add damage dropped. There we go. That's what it's called. And all it's going to do is return get meta from state. So get meta this dot get meta. So it's just going to call that method above. Because there's no point doing it twice, but it has to be done, otherwise it doesn't work. Now we do need to, in fact, set the default state. So here we go. So it's this dot set default state, and then state is going to be this dot block state dot with this dot block state dot, I'm just trying to read off my sheet here, get base state, yep, and this is going to be, I can't see it, dot with property is the type property, and a value is going to be a enum handler dot this one, and it's just going to be the wooden one. That's my default state. So there we go, we set the default state. Now we need to do another method, get sub block. So this is like for the metadata stuff. And we don't need this, don't need super. I'm going to change this to item. I'm going to change this, oh that's list, that's fine. So let's just do this. So for each one we're going to have to do list dot add, and it's a new item stack, and we're going to take in an item. Yep, that's all we've got to do, but we've got to make sure it's going to be 1, and it's going to be a damage of 0. So it's going to be all the damage ones, so mine goes up to 5, so I've got to do this for each individual one. There we go, and then we're actually going to have to add a new interface. So this basically, when you like mine a block, the item that you get is in fact an item block, but our item block will just have the default state, so it will only be the wood block breaker. Now we don't want that, we want the actual block breaker one, but we need to make this special interface for it. So first thing that we need to do, I'm going to call this interface item meta block name. So that's for any block that has metadata, and all it needs to have is a really simple string, and it's a get unlocalized, no, get special name, and it's going to take in a item stack, and that's going to be called stack. And we don't need to open this up, all we need to do is Control-Shift-O to import an item stack, and that's all that we've got to do here. So then we actually need to create our item block. So this is just a normal class, so it's going to be item block, and I'm going to call item block meta, so this is for all the meta blocks, and it's got to extend item block, and then we're going to have to make a constructor. So there we go, it takes in the block, we've got to super the block, and then we need an if statement, and hold on, I'm going to put my light on. We're going to need an if statement, and we're going to check if the block, so in brackets again, so if the block is not an instance of, and then that's imeta block name. So that's checking that our block does in fact implement an imeta block name. So implement means that you have to have the method that's in here. So for our block, we're gonna have to have this method, otherwise this won't work. you have to have this. So that this basically means that if it doesn't, we're actually going to throw an exception, which basically means that our game will crash. So we're gonna sort of make the game crash, but that's only if we don't do it right. So it's illegal and illegal argument exception, and we're going to take in a string, so it's actually going to be string.format, just to make it nice, and it's going to be the given block and then %s. So we're going you don't really need to know about that. You can do this in Python. The given block is not an instance of item item meta block name. Yep, and here we're going to in fact get our block unlocalized name, so it's going to be block.get unlocalized name. No, unlocalized name. And that will just basically put the unlocalized name after block, because that's calling this method there. So we can continue from here, and we can just this dot set max damage to 0, and then this dot set has subtypes to true, and then we need to have a public int get meta data. It takes in int damage, and it's going to return damage. We also need to have a get unlocalized name, so get unlocalized name, but it's going to take in a stack. Yes, it is going to take in a stack, and basically we're going to get the unlocalized name, we're going to add a full stop onto it, and we're going to add a cast. So this is like in double brackets, so we're going to cast it to a item meta block name. Yeah, we're going to cast it to that, this dot block. Yeah, and then from this dot block we're going to get the special name using the stack, and that is that. So here we're going to have to go back to our block, and we're going to have to make this so it implements item meta block name. Yep, and that's going to want us to make a new method. So this is going to make this on the bottom, and this get special name does in fact have to return something. So the get special name does in fact have to be filled in. So this is going to be a pain. So special name. So the default one is going to be wood, and then we want to do some if. So if stack dot get item damage. If the damage is 0, that means it's the wood, so it's returning the wood. And just need to copy and paste this for every single one. And there we go. So we're also going to have to add a get pick block. So get pick block, and we're going to get the one that isn't deprecated. So that, the way I could tell, it has a cross through it, and all it's going to do is return a new item stack, and it's going to take in the item dot get item from block. This is going to get the item block, going to have a count of 1, and it's going to be this dot get meta from state. Here it's going to be world dot get block state at the position. and that will get the correct block. Now we do in fact need to create the actual block. So it's going to be public static block, and I'm going to make block underscore breaker. That's breaker. I want breaker, and then we're going to initialize this. So block breaker is equal to a new block breaker, and then change the localized name to block underscore breaker. I don't know why I keep putting breaker. That's just weird. And then we're going to have to register a block, but we can't use our register block method because it has an item block. So we need to actually do game registry dot add dot register block, and it's the second one down. So we're going to take in the block breaker, the item class, which is going to be item block meta dot class, and we can also take in the unlocalized name, which is block underscore breaker, and there we go. So we should be able to do block state. So what is this block state thingy? Yeah, because at the moment we just have a normal one. So I'm just going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to call it block underscore breaker, and let's open this. So as you can see here, it's variance normal, and that's just a default block state, but our block state is called type. That's what it's called, type. So variance here, it should be type equals and then the type. So you can get wood, then it's going to be I'm going to call it wood underscore block underscore breaker. You want to add a comma to this because it's a list. And you want to get rid of the comma at the end. Now we can save this, but what I believe is that because it's got to extend that item, in this block break tab, these actually need to be lowercase because I'm an idiot. So I'm just going to make these lowercase. And there we go, we can control S that, and that is in fact our block state done. Now we're going to have to make the models for these blocks. But before we do that, we're going to have to go into the proxy thingy, because don't forget, this is an item that has metadata. So we need to go to the model bakery dot register item variance, and then it's going to be item dot get item from block, and it's going to be the block mod blocks dot block breaker. Now the names is a new resource location, and it's going to take in BOE colon, and then it's going to be wood underscore block underscore breaker, and then again you're gonna have to copy and paste all of this and do this for each individual ones that you want to do. So we've done all of that model bakery stuff. Now we haven't actually registered the render, and that's because it requires a new method to register the render. So I'm going to select the register render method, Control C, and like before, we're going to take in the block, we're going to take in the metadata, and we're also going to take in a string for the file name. And I'm just going to substitute these in. So meta is here, that's 0, and then here, all of this is going to be the file name. So there's a quick way of doing all this registering renders. So I'm going to make a for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is smaller than enum handler dot block record dot values dot length I++. Now what this means is it's going to be for the highest amount of value that it can be in here. So that should be 6, and then it's going to be, starts on 0 and goes up to the highest one, and it just keeps adding 1 to the I. So we can actually do this easy. So register render, take in the block breaker, the metadata is the I, and the file name is in fact, it's going to be enum handler dot block breaker types dot values, the I, so that I0 is basically the first one, which is wood, and we're going to get the name, so dot here dot get name, and we're going to add the name, so the name is going to be so it's going to be the name, so that's going to be wood underscore block underscore breaker. And then that will go for all of them, and that will do all the register and the render. Now we need to make all the models, so I'm just going to go and do that. Go and do that. So head all the way down into here, not Minecraft. Why do I always do that? Models. We will get onto the language file as well. Block. So I'm going to copy block, and I'm going to call it wood underscore block underscore breaker, and I want to open up that, and it's going to be wood underscore block underscore breaker, and we're gonna have to do this for every single one. So we actually need to do all of this for the items. Yay! And there we go. Again, I've done the curtains. So I'm going to do the language file now. So if you just want to right click on this and open with text editor, it's the same as before. So I'm going to just copy and paste this, change this to tile, change the next one to block underscore breaker, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just control X these and then just like move them, because I have all of my all of these like next to each other. So there we go. Now we just need to make some textures. So I'm going to use the default Minecraft textures for some of it. And yep, so So we've done that, so I can in fact go and run the game, and fingers crossed everything works. Okay, so the game is loaded up, so I have in fact forgot to do some stuff with. So I can in fact, you can still load up the game, and if I just go into it, and I'll just press F3T to reload all the textures. F3T. Okay, so I've reloaded all the textures, and we should be able to check here. Yeah, just the ones from last time. And if I go into, okay, if we go into the creative tab, we'll in fact see in here I put a capital type, so I was right earlier. Okay, so the game is loaded up, so we could just test this out in our test world. Yep, we should always have the items, and we should see that they're all the same because they all say type word. Why is it type word? Okay, so I was a bit stupid. Forgot to add a return to all of these, so that might have helped my situation. So if I add return to all, no, add return to all of these and run our game, then everything should be fine. So let's just wait for the game to load up. Okay, so the game is loaded up. So if we just go onto our test log, and fingers crossed, we've got a working one. What would actually be like wood, because type wood, but we should see wood again. Why is it doing that? Okay, so I'm actually going to rename something in here, because actually not item meta block name, is I meta block name, because I was dumb. So just rename this to I meta block name and finish. And if we run a game, okay, so the game is loaded up, so let's just go into our test world and check that this works. Now it should work. Yes, yes. Okay, so it does in fact work. I'm just gonna reorder these, because there you go. So boom, 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 boom. And then guys, I want to say thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to watch any of my previous videos or last tutorial. So yeah, go check them out.